You've heard the advice 1,000 times. You need to systemize your business, right? You need to create SOPs, standard operating procedures. So you do what you're told. Like you sit down, you open a document, and you try to write down everything that you do. And within 1 hour, you are completely overwhelmed. The task feels giant. It's, bureaucratic, corporate, and it's creatively very draining and exhausting. So you might manage to create a few random checklists for small isolated tasks, but soon enough, those documents are forgotten and you're back to managing the chaos yourself. You give up, you're convinced that systemization is a nightmare, that only for, giant soulless corporations. But the problem isn't the advice, it's the starting point. So most business owners try to systemize their business from the ground up, one brick at a time, with no blueprint. So they think in terms of disconnected individual tasks, like how we answer the phone, or how we send the invoice, or how we post on social media. But that's like trying to build a car by starting with a super detailed instruction manual for, let's say, the windshield wiper, right? Yeah, sure, it's part of a car, but you have no idea how it connects to the full picture, to the engine, to the chassis or the wheel. You have no context for what truly matters. So this task level approach is precisely why most documentation efforts fail. The documents feel random because they are random, right? They feel overwhelming to create because you're trying to document 100 different things at once, and they end up collecting basically digital dust in your Google Drive because they don't really solve a meaningful, high-level problem for your team. This failure to systemize correctly is not a minor issue because it keeps your business trapped in a state of permanent dependency on you. So because you have no reliable, documented processes, you can't confidently delegate anything important. And because you can't delegate, you remain the bottleneck for all growth. So you're forced to re-explain the same things over and over again, which is exhausting for you, it's frustrating for your team. Your client experience is super inconsistent because every employee is just doing things their own way based on whatever they remember from their onboarding. You can't scale because your business capacity is directly limited by your personal ability to manage, the ever-growing chaos. So basically, you're stuck. All right, so what's the solution? Before you document a single task, before you write any SOP, you must get the big picture, 30,000-foot view of your entire business. So you need to step out of the engine room and get basically into the control tower, right? You need a map. So specifically, you need to start by visualizing the complete customer journey or your client journey, right? So that is the path that a person takes from the moment they first hear about your business to the moment they become, a super happy repeat customer who sends you referrals and leaves review. Basically, how do you turn a stranger into a customer and then into a loyal fan who's going to refer other people, friends and family and so on? So when you see your business not as 100 random tasks, but as one single flowing journey, then everything about systemization will change for you. So I want you to think about that journey right now. So it's a story. So, and like any good story, it has a beginning, middle, and an end. So the beginning of the story is your acquisition part. So that's how a stranger in the market becomes a paying client or a customer, right? So how do you convert a stranger into a customer? So you can ask yourself, how do they find you? What is their first point of contact? How do you qualify them as a good fit? What does your sales or proposal process look like? This path covers all of your marketing and sales activities. Then the middle of the story, in the middle, you've got your fulfillment, right? Once the client says yes and the work begins, how do you actually deliver your service or product? So what does the onboarding process look like? How do you manage the project? How do you communicate progress and handle issues along the way? This is the core of your operation, basically where you keep your promises to the customer, right? And then at the end of the story, you have your retention path, because after the project is done and after they, pay the final invoice or they convert on the website, whatever your business model is, the journey is not over then, right? Because how do you ensure that the client is happy with the results or the customer? How do you formally offboard them if you have a service business? And how do you collect feedback? And how do you earn more business from them, right? Like repeat purchases or the next projects, or even better, a glowing testimonial and a referral, because that's where the true long-term business value is created. So when you can see this entire journey from, acquisition to fulfillment to retention as one continuous flow, then you'll have a big realization. You'll see that not all steps on this map are created equal. They're not equally important. There are a handful of moments, maybe 3 to 5 across the entire journey, that are basically the moments that really matter, right? They're the make or break points, and they're the critical interactions where you have a bigger opportunity than at the other steps to either win the client for life or you lose their trust forever. And it might be your very first consultation call. It might be how you handle a project delay or a mistake. It might be the way how you deliver the final results, whatever it is. But these are the only things you need to systemize at first, right? Focus on the critical steps in that journey. Forget the 100 other tasks that feel urgent. Focus all your initial documentation energy on creating a perfect, repeatable, bulletproof process for the first 2 or 3 moments that truly define the client experience. So you stop trying to, boil the ocean. You stop trying to document everything at the same time. It's too overwhelming and you will fail. Instead, just map this journey, make that your first step, see the whole picture, identify the critical steps in that journey that truly matter, and then start building your systems around them. So now you have an anchoring point. That's the strategic, it's focused, and it's very achievable path to creating a business that delivers consistently excellent results and doesn't require you to be in the middle of every step.